Hello and welcome. For China Solved, I'm Andrew Hubert, and this is the China Negotiator, the Christmas Miracle Edition. Every time you hear the words, biggest deal in history this holiday season, somewhere a steel lobbyist is getting his bell rung. Look for the new year to get off to a great start as both sides in this trade war assess what they have wrought and how deep the waters are getting. For those of us doing a risk analysis for the first half of 2019, the choice is a quick superficial win or a drawn-out, very public, scorched earth battle. Now, remember, as always, when doing risk analysis, you're assessing the likelihood of something happening, not the desirability of it happening. Don't go with what you think is a good idea, go with what you think is going to happen. Biggest deal ever. A deal so big it doesn't even fit on the screen. This is the secret code for a quick cosmetic win and walking away from this flaming ball of crisis. Biggest deal ever is going to be the face-saving formulation. If Donald Trump does want out of this, and I think he might, then this is how he sets the stage. He referred to a potential China deal as biggest deal ever right after the G20. And at least once again during the Meng Wanzhou arrest conversation. And he's going to say this was just too important to pass up. The U.S. won, meaning I won, and they're going to change completely. And he's going to be using language very similar to what happened after the North Korea meeting. In that light, I want to revisit the Huawei statement that Trump made. After the Meng Wanzhou arrest was made public, Trump was quoted as saying that he would intervene. He would do whatever is good for this country. And I think people have been either overreading it or reading it the wrong way. I think this was a throwaway line. I think he was offering to fix it and to make it go away. I don't think he was taking credit for it. And I don't think this was Dr. Evil. I think this was more like general big picture. I don't think he's been fully briefed. The Huawei kerfuffle was a much bigger deal in Asia than it was in the United States, where it never really took hold. It's like this whole China trade war. It's never really taken hold with the base. It's never really taken hold with the cable news set. And I'm taking the Huawei statement by Trump as a sign that people are losing their appetite for this crisis. And I think we're going to get the biggest deal ever because I think the Chinese seem to have Trump's number. They have made very public statements about making concessions and about buying more corn and about dropping the tariff on autos. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Chinese add a little bit more sizzle because that works with this administration. When Trump visited the Saudis, they projected his face on the palace walls. And I think the Chinese could do the same thing if they just project Trump's face on the Great Wall or someplace in Tiananmen. I think we could wrap this up by Christmas. And that brings up my second cause for optimism. That is, there is a clear win-win path, which you don't always get. Now, granted, I know it would be very superficial and it would be just a Band-Aid solution. I understand that. But right now, a quick win has real and strategic value because this conflict is in danger of spinning out of control, and it's a manufactured crisis that we can fix at will. The U.S. really has no grand plan for global leadership. So moving sensitive stuff like this off center stage makes sense. And both sides seem to see this, and we are getting a lot of friendly language, and we're seeing concessions that would indicate that we are going to start to de-escalate. However, both sides have built-in time bombs into their early concessions, and after 60 days or so, the U.S. Concessions on tariffs are going to expire, and that should trigger an increase of tariffs from 10% to 25%. Likewise, Chinese concessions on auto tariffs are going to expire not long after. Both sides could really use the good news. In China, they need a quick win before economic malaise turns into something scarier. And on the U.S. side, this administration has a lot of other stuff to worry about. So who's got two thumbs and is in for the quick superficial win? This guy. It's going to be more do-over than grand strategy, so don't have any illusions about this being an end to hostility. But so far, we haven't been doing a great job of running this trade war, and I don't think people really understand the costs or the sacrifices that are going to be required. Serious problems do not always indicate a crisis. So what's a superficial win going to look like? Well, we're going to separate tracks for different types of negotiation. This allows the secret stuff to stay secret. So trade will be handled by trade people. The legal, the security, the cyber, and the IP are basically going to be handled by government lawyers. And the military and state issues are hopefully going to be handled by military and State Department people and not trade or commerce people. Now, competition and maybe hostility is going to continue, but this formulation allows life to go on. It's a détente, which means that you don't necessarily love each other, but active hostilities have subsided. Your commercial relationships in China are going to change one way or another in the next 2 years anyway. And there's a good chance that no matter what the results of the trade war, you are going to be switching your sourcing out of China anyway. We'll talk about that at another time. Final word, this is straight up prisoner's dilemma. If Trump and Xi both cooperate and are able to pull off and execute a first stage of the cooperation, then each can claim victory and move on and pay attention to other issues that require more attention. But if they decide, or if their people decide that the other side can't be trusted or they can't sell it back home, then they're going to take the safe option, which is, ironically, maintaining and escalating the trade war to satisfy their bases at home. Thanks very much for trying to solve. I'm Andrew Hubert. Hope you have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year, although we'll be speaking to you once more before then. A great Christmas read for you or your loved ones, A Fragile Bridge, Managing Conflict in China Business. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you again soon.